Today I'm doing the Winter Essential book tag. Welcome to Candlewick Library. I'm Cheryl. I was tagged by Alma's Book Journey to do the Winter Essentials book tag. Some of these questions are Christmas related, but I'm just going with it because right now we have a few inches of snow outside. We had a big snowstorm yesterday. It kind of feels like Christmas anyway. First question, crackling fire. Who is your favorite cold character that warmed up toward the end? The first thing I thought of was Austenland for some reason, how there is a Mr. Darcy character. This is one of those rare books where I think the movie is better than the book. Around this time every year, around Valentine's Day, I try to watch Austenland again. So that's probably why it was in my head. But the more I thought about it, I wanted to say Marilla. I found that when I read Anne of Green Gables the first time after becoming a mother, I really paid more attention to Marilla and how she stepped into that position of mother, how much she warmed up. It's just such a heartwarming and inspirational transformation that she goes through because of Anne. Number 2, Snowflakes. What is a book that is full of unique characters? I also first thought of Phantom Tollbooth for this one, but then I saw this book on the shelf and I decided to use this one. The Extremely Inconvenient Adventures of Bronte Meadowstone by Jacqueline Moriarty. In this book, Bronte finds out that her parents have been killed by pirates, and she has to travel around to all these different places to meet all of her different aunts. There's everything from a veterinarian for dragons to cruise ship owners to a farmer and a former rock star. There definitely are a lot of interesting characters in this book. And I thought this was a really creative and fun book. Number 3, Gingerbread Family. Which fictional family would you like to be a part of? This one was a hard one at first because I've never had that feeling reading a book of, oh, I wish I was in that family. I really like the family I have been in my real life. But the more I thought about it, I thought, I really love Little Women. I really love the March family, the closeness of the sisters, the way the parents interact with each other and with their children. I love this family. I would probably say Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. However, I do have to mention the Vanderbeekers of 141st Street because when we were reading this the first time, one of my daughters said, I would love to step through the pages and into that book. And it wasn't necessarily that she wanted to be in this family rather than our family, but it's such a warm family and everybody loves each other so much, and they have this found family aspect with their neighbors and their neighborhood and their, it's a very different experience from places that we've lived and neighbors that we've had. And so I thought of this book as well. Number 4, Blizzard. What is a book that had you confused the whole time? This I do not own, but I thought of a few different books that have had me confused while reading them, or afterward I thought, what did I read? But the answer has to be The Sound and the Fury by Faulkner. I did understand what I was reading enough to hate what I was reading. I found it also to be so confusing. I do not like stream of consciousness writing. I have read a few books since then that I felt actually did it really well and I enjoyed the stories, but I knew after that I could never read another Faulkner. I couldn't stand it. And that might get me some hate because I know he's considered one of the greats and a classic, but I hated that book. Number 5, gift giving. What is the last book that was gifted to you? So I believe that was Dear Mrs. Bird by A.J. Pierce. I got this for Christmas from my aunt. Sounds like it's about a young woman during World War II in London who is a reporter, but I don't know too much more than that. So I haven't read it yet. I can't vouch for it, but this is the last book I was given as a gift. Number 6, Snowball. What is the biggest book you've ever read? It's got to be the Bible. I'm not sure which one would be what that I would pick for fictional. I've read lots of books that were over 1,000 pages, but I'd have to go and find all of them and count to see which one was actually the biggest, but I would say the Bible counts, and the Bible would definitely be the biggest book I've ever read. Number 7, wrapping paper. What is your most beat up book? This one is easy. It is The 5 Little Peppers and How They Grew by Margaret Sidney. This copy is not even contained within its cover anymore. You can see that I taped it together as a kid quite a few times and it still has now fallen apart. Eventually, maybe I'll be able to restore this. As for now, I have a copy that isn't as beat up, and then this is sat on my shelf, but even this cover right here is bent, so it's got the lines on it, and it's just all over is beat up. The inside is definitely yellowed, but it's actually in pretty good condition on the inside, but the cover is so messed up. I don't even know what year this is from, but it has my mom's name in it. And so I know it belonged to her before it belonged to me. And it was also interesting to me to notice that it was published in Racine, Wisconsin. When my girls were really little, we lived in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and we would go to Racine all the time. So now it has even more memories. It has nostalgia for it, of me reading this as a child and loving this book and loving these siblings. And it also has nostalgia of a place and nostalgia of it being handed down from my mom. Number 8, Christmas lights. What is a book that you own that has a lot of colors on the cover? I probably have a colorful book that has way more colors than this, but this is the first one I saw when I was looking through them, and I decided to use this. The Printed Letter Bookshop. With all of the different book spines here, it covers a lot of colors. Number 9, ice skating. What is a book that had a plot that was all over the place? At first, I thought of this in maybe a negative way, but then I decided to go a little bit different route with that. I chose Lines of Courage by Jennifer Nielsen. The reason I chose this is because there are 5 different viewpoints in this book. You go back and forth between 5 different young adults in different areas and from different countries during World War I. This is one of the books I read out loud with my daughters for history, and we really enjoyed it. I think this one was my youngest daughter's favorite that we've read. I loved it. It was a really great book, but it definitely was all over the place because it kept changing characters. That doesn't mean it was confusing. It was always very clear who we were with and where we were at. Number 11, The Star. What is a book you look forward to rereading every year? I don't think I have any books that I reread every year. I could use the Bible for this again because I'm going to be reading it every year, but I immediately thought of Harry Potter because I do read this every few years. And so I probably read this or Anne of Green Gables the most often of any book I read. And I do look forward to opening this every couple of years. The last time I read the Harry Potter series was 2022, and I am planning on reading it again here in 2024. So that's almost every year. And every time I start reading it, it brings back a lot of the feelings I had the very first time I read it. So I do look forward to it every time. And then number 12 is Snowball Fight, Tag Some People. So I'm going to tag Anne from In Search of Wonder, Kelly at Kelly Reads a Lot, Linda at Elder Talk, and Angie and the Great World. I didn't go and see who had done this already and who has been tagged by others. So I just picked 4 people, and then for the 5th person, that is any of you that are watching this that haven't done this yet and want to do it, consider yourself tagged, and please let me know if you do it because I would love to see all of your answers.